This video I have a VCR, a Sharp. This is a VC583. I think 581 was the standard one. I know the 381, 481 were the standard ones. Been a while since I've seen a 500 series, so not sure, but I'm pretty sure there was a version without infrared remote. This is the one with the infrared remote, which, there goes the door. That's broken. Yeah, tab broken off one end at least. Pretty common. And I do have the remote somewhere for it, which I'll have to find. And I think the 5 designates that it's from 1985. Pretty sure the 3 series, 381, etc. was from 1983, 481, etc. from 84. Then they went to 5 series, 6 series, 7 series. And I think there's kind of an 8 series is around the time they went to the VCA era machines, which was into the sort of, 88, 89 type of era. Some of those may have even come out earlier. But I'm pretty sure that's how these things run. Tuning tool in there. These were quite a reliable machine. I think they had idlers that went in them. I know the master cams used to get wear out in these machines. Can't really remember much else that went wrong with them, but they're generally pretty reliable. They've got LED sensor in place of the old lamps that the early ones had. I think the 400 series went to those as well. And these are sort of the last of the slightly thicker machines. Oh, there's the remote. It's actually inside it. I do that sometimes and then forget. I thought I actually, come to think of it, I don't think I knew that was in there. I'm pretty sure I had a larger remote for this, so maybe that was put in there by someone else and I bought it like that. It's had the cord chopped off, so we just got a little stub there, which is a bit of a pain, especially since these are got a moulded on grommet thing. You can actually cut these down the side, which is what we'll probably have to do. That does unplug. And yeah, I get a feeling when I bought this, there was another remote there that I bought separately that looked like the right remote for this one. So maybe not. Yeah, I haven't seen one of those thin remotes for a while. Unfortunately missing the cover at the end, so you can see, are they extra buttons or the button's actually gone, I think. I don't know if these had channel up down. Usually they're only a very basic remote. That looks like it used to be channel up down and something else. Well, we haven't got power, so that, whether these Sharps had power though is another thing. Some of these had a mechanical, it is touch switch. I suspect the 581 would have been a non-remote model. I'll have to see if I can find any info on it. Do we have any dates on motors and stuff to confirm anything here? That one doesn't. There's a motor on the cassette housing, that might have something on it. But I guess the first thing is I'll cut this grommet off. And let's see if we can split that in half. Get it off there, peel the old cord out, and we'll just hook it up onto that little stub for now. Probably should do it before we cut into it, but I think we'll be alright. But if you just get a knife and cut down one side, quite a hard bit of plastic to cut through. Probably should wear safety glasses in case you break the blade doing this, because they will snap your Stanley knife blade if you're using one of them, or box cutter type blade as some people like to call them. Let's see, is that through? I think we're there. But yeah, it's not going to be up to proper standard with it cut, I don't think. God, this one's so hard, I might even have to cut it right the way through. I think we're through there. We cut through it. It's just very tight. And the cord is well glued in there, or moulded in there, I guess is more the case. But you can see it's peeling off there. But they do stick pretty well, so I think they just make the cord and then mould this over it. but it likes to stick to the plastic pretty well, but not that well that we can't get it out of there with a bit of work. There we go. And we don't really want to use any of this cable where I've been sticking the knife, though it looks to be alright. But yeah, very likely to have been cut into the outer sheath a bit. Thankfully I've actually missed it all on this one. So for now I'll just strip that and hook up a terminal block. And you can actually pull the pins out of this. They just press down 2 little tabs there, little screwdriver, pull out, and often you can actually just unfold the outer bit that crimped around the actual wire just as a clamp, and then solder new copper wire to the metal piece and then just clamp it around the plastic again, and that's enough to get the thing running again. Yeah, a bit of a shame when these machines get the cords cut, because you can't just replace them. Once upon a time I would have had spares for all these things off scrap machines, but not anymore. And yeah, generally you didn't scrap these sharps, but you'd always get second-hand ones you buy that had some damage or something, or even just a flap missing off the front and stuff could be enough, or the buttons were broken or something, so you'd always end up with a few scrap ones, which was always good when you needed the odd part here and there for another one. But generally customer repairs on these, I don't think I ever had to write a machine off, possibly at the end when if the heads were getting worn or something, they wouldn't spend the money, but generally the heads lasted in these till the end of their life. And well, we've got a clock flashing, so yeah, red channel light. Are we on? Now we are. We've got a counter up. There's the channel LEDs there. So we've got 02, 7, 9, 10 and star U, so that's the mainland channels. I think O was actually part of the Channel 10 network at some stage, but more 2 ABC, 7, 9, 10 networks, a couple of spares, and U would have been SBS. So that much is going, not surprising. Probably going to need a new belt kit in it, which is why I want to have a look at it, because I need to order some stuff. So I might as well find out, and it's been lying around for ages, this machine. I think we've got to press that button to get it in, at least with the dummy tape. Ooh, drum's not running too well. Oh dear. And yeah, no take up. If we give that a spin, it should run the counter enough to keep it happy. Yeah, 0 idler action. Pretty standard for these. Idlers were not good in sharp machines for lasting. But yeah, no drum. It turned a little bit and then it's died. Not sure I've ever had any drum problems with these machines, but anything's possible these days, unfortunately. I think we can access the board from underneath, the mech from underneath I should say. The board's only like a half machine board by this stage, not underneath the, I think the 400 series might have had a board right under everything. These I think it finishes before the mech, but I could be wrong about that. Oh, it's a partial mech cover. So they're getting them down in size, but not fully down. Yeah, Mastercam looks alright. Usually they look all kind of chewed and there's often flaky plastic and stuff. It's got a little bit of dark stuff there which can be a bad sign. But yeah, not chewed out. Oh wow, listen to that. It's grinding. That's a worry. Let's just take the magnet off in case something's in there or something, but not too good if when they're doing that sort of thing. No, we got grindy old bearings, I think, or something up the top end. Yeah, rather interesting. Let's sitting too low or something. Yeah, it's probably bad bearings, but what we can do is remove the head amp here. Oh, we're going to take that plastic bracket off too. I think that's the cover of the power switch as well, comes out. Clip that off. Pull that out. I guess we can just make sure it doesn't hit the heads, remove it. Very easy to get the whole drum assembly out of these things. Take off our little anti-static thing. They're actually brass or stainless screws, something non-magnetic. And if you look, there's a little brown and yellow there, a little red and yellow there, so that indicates where your head goes back on, which, because of course you can put them 180 degrees out. If you don't take any notice, it really wants to stay soldered, that wire. I guess it's been sitting there for 40 odd years. It's not gonna bend back and get out of the way easily, because it just wants to return back where it was before the solder's set. Make sure they're all loose. Our little head pulling tool. And we go into those other two holes, little threaded holes. That's basically all they're there for. If we get that to slide across. Screw into those a bit. And then when we screw this handle in onto the middle shaft, it'll pull the head upwards. Jeez, that's tight. That's very tight. Sometimes you've got to heat them up. Wow. I've never had a sharp head that tight, I don't think. Here it goes, it's starting to let go, but yeah, that's very tight. There's some sort of brown stuff in there. Have we got some dirt or something up in there? What is that? Corrosion or something? Probably had a spider living in here. Oh! Well, it's not the best. Seems to run a bit better without the head on there, but looks like we're going to have to dismantle it. Oh. Probably should have ejected the tape. Oh, I can get it out anyway, I think. I think it's just 3 screws, and we've still got a connector. We've got our dew sensor there, and whatever the motor's plugged into. Looks like we've got to cut a cable tie there. Even that's a bit reluctant to come. Yeah, and just to plug into the board underneath, which you probably saw when I took that magnet assembly off. And that's our drum assembly. Because if this can't be fixed, there's no point going any further with the machine. We're going to remove this board. Now, I can never remember which set of screws it is. Is it the steel ones or the... Let's loosen those 3. No, it's not those 3. They're the motor, I think. One set of screws holds the motor together. One set holds the motor to the drum. And that's the ones. I'm just gonna, because I'm not so familiar with these now, mark this. There's our little magnet, our little Hall effect sensor thing. I mean, the connector underneath and stuff sort of sets where it goes, but when you don't do them all the time, it can be easy to forget what went where. And we need to get a little Allen key to take that off. And I forget what size they are now, must be about that middle one there, which is what, 1.5 or something, or 2. Now these, I should have actually marked that first, shouldn't I? Because I've just loosened that off a bit. That is actually critical how that is on the shaft there. And let's just mark the end as well in case that wipes off. Don't think I really moved it much, but that doesn't want to push at all. Oh, there we go. Oh no, the coil's come loose, I think. So it's not the bearings, I don't think. Yeah, we've got a loose coil. Let's hope they haven't been run too much. That's brown. Oh, that is dead spiders or something in there, I think. Don't think that's related to the coils coming loose and the scrapiness. They put like a rubber band in there, like a belt or something, holding those bits, and it hasn't done anything bad yet, so maybe that's alright to leave it there. Luckily this doesn't look like it's corroded. But this outer coil's as loose as, sticking down, so I need to lift that very carefully. Problem with bending it up, I've just got a couple of wires into this bit, is it won't want to go back in so well. But if we bend those wires a bit, lift it, then the best thing is just run a screwdriver or something around, try and remove any old glue while being very careful with that coil. But just like the other stuff, it doesn't want to get out of the way, because it goes all dry and flaky, that glue, so you don't really want it. Probably doesn't matter that much. Blow that out, and I'll just put a bit of, should I put Araldite or contact adhesive in there, and that will probably fix that thing. And we'll just go with Araldite because I'm used to using that for it. Now, is that inner coil also loose? I guess I should really do something like that, but that seems to be very solidly attached, so I'm not going to touch the inner one. Maybe I'll put a couple of daubs of Araldite on it just to prevent future separation. Don't need much. Ah, God, how gooey is that? Weather's freezing, so the Araldite is very sticky. Could almost just use it as it is if it would stay that sticky. Don't even need to mix the two parts, but of course when it warms up that'll turn to water. And the idea is to get a light smear, preferably right down that little channel in the ferrite. And then you just push your coil back down and possibly use a bit of tape to hold it in, or something sitting on it, because it'll want to lift up. Got to make sure it's well down, and wipe any excess Araldite out so that doesn't stick up and rub. You don't have to do every single millimetre of it, but I like to go right round and just to where the little connections are there, and there's a little gap there anyway. Okay, press that back down, and it probably won't want to stay there knowing this stuff, and wipe any excess off. Always seems to want to lift back out again. This one's fairly cooperative, but of course the problem with lifting it is it tends to bend a bit. We don't want it bent up This is where 5-minute erudite's actually useful, because you can kind of push it down until it sets. I've only got the 24-hour stuff because my other stuff leaked everywhere. What I probably should have done is done 1/2 at a time. Yeah, because this bit's going to be a real pain, and you don't want it like stuck halfway in the erudite. I'll just clean off the excess with a bit of metho. We don't want really any of it on that face, adding any thickness. That might be a better thing to see. Sit it in there. I can find a O-ring or something the right diameter. I think these are all too big. Well, I don't care about these things that much, so maybe if I cut one of these, take a little bit out of it. Yeah, that's what we want. And if I just put a roll of solder on top of that, like that, that should hold it together. Fingers crossed. Oh well, that should do the job of that. We'll see what it looks like tomorrow and reassemble everything, see if we can get this thing to run the drum at least. Okay, we'll see how that's gone. I did find the other remote quite different than the one that was shoved in the machine, but that does have channel up, down and operate. Pretty sure it's the same era. And I think I did find that a 581 does have a wide remote. So not sure what that other one's for, whether it's the same machine, different machine. I doubt they had 2 different ones for this machine. Now let's see if this did its job. It's been about 21 hours I think since we glued it. Yeah, that feels pretty good. I think it's all sitting down. I do have a little lump there. I think it's just where it's showing. I hope so. Hope it didn't sit up in that one spot. I'll just push on it to make sure. Yeah, it might have been up just ever so slightly. Certainly bent down now. So what is it? Just a bit of brass that sits on onto the bearing. I don't like these because they can suddenly slip, so especially when they're a little tight like this one is. Everything on this drum's a little on the tight side. Yeah, it's gonna. Might have to put a bit of oil on that. I think I had trouble getting it out as well. Or maybe I'll just get cotton bud. Oil it up. We'll just put a tad of oil just inside the bearings, just so it slips, because it seems awfully tight. Maybe it's because of this cold weather we're having. Something weird going on, but you just don't want to push hard on this because it'll suddenly let go. That's better. Oh, there we go. And your wrist slapping the 2 bits, they shouldn't touch, but that seems good. I don't want those 2 bits of ferrite to wrist banging together. Man, this thing is cold, I'll tell you that much. I'm going to get a frozen hand, get frostbite in my fingers from holding this thing, I think. Let's see, that went, yeah, that way. Not sure. Oh no, we did have to put the bearing on first. I remember this, I had to take that off so that we could actually get the bearing undone. Was there a washer or something there? Maybe not. No, I think it's just the brass butts up against it. Some of them had a little washer underneath. A sort of sprung washer. Nothing here, so it must have been how it went. I hope I got that marking in the right place. But we can always tweak it if it's a little out in the head switching or something. Probably should have made sure there was no oil on there before I put that back on, but that'll be right, I think. Make that nice and tight. Beautiful. Tiny bit of play there, which I think is normal. You want a tiny amount, but not any real play there. Now I can put the motor back on, followed by the magnet, and the heads can go back on. I've got to get the soldering on, I guess. Make sure I tightened all those other ones up. I think I did, but I'll give them a little bit extra. Torque them up a little bit. And magnet. That's got the little hole to match that hole in that one. And yeah, besides that, they can only line up one way. To the holes. To the screw holes, that is. That seems to be a thing in these videos. I guess, you know, they're getting ridiculously old, well past their lifetime or expected lifespan. And yeah, these drums are starting to be an issue in a lot of them. Sounds great. Now I've got to get our drum just orientated. You can see that's the brown wire, it's the red wire, so we just match them. Obviously those screw holes are at the opposite direction to the ones in this thing. You don't really need this tool attached, but I thought I might as well pick it up by that. Just get those screw holes. Oh, this was quite hard to get off too, I think. I wonder if I should put a little bit of oil on that as well. At least it'll make it. Yeah, that looks kind of weird. Is that corroded on one side, or is it? Don't know. It's almost like it's been rubbing against it on that brass, but I mean that doesn't spin on there, so it's almost, but it's like it's worn, so maybe it was just a tight, super tight fit from the beginning. Let's clean it out in case there's corrosion or something there, and I'm just going to rub my oily little cotton bud around that. It's certainly not going to do it any harm, and it might make a little layer of corrosion inhibiting oil in there. Probably hasn't helped sitting around in my garage here where it's fairly cold and damp-ish in the winter anyway. So I'm going to have to find somewhere else to store all these VCRs once they're fixed, or I'll come back. I actually stored a DVD VCR combo in the shed, and I think it might have been going on 20 odd years. And yeah, the heads have actually corroded in it, so it didn't have a door on the front, which didn't help either. So that's not a good thing. And let's get the bits together first. And then we've got to give this thing a wipe down, because your finger acid and grease will corrode into these things if wherever you touch the aluminium if you leave it on there, or at least there's a potential for it to do so. I have definitely seen finger marks corroded in on the top of video drums. It may depend what you got on your fingers as well. That's all soldered on. Might even put our, where is it? Little anti-static arm there. Not really going to get in the way of giving this a quick clean. I guess I might as well wait until it's in the machine for that matter, because I've got to pick it up to put it in there. should be done with our head removal machine. But at least they're nice and easy to get in and out of these machines. That's the other thing, you can pick it up by the anti-static bit quite often. Just reseats itself in there. Which was good back in the day because you could easily recycle this bit for scrap metal on an old machine you'd been using for parts, which has already pulled to bits. Quick 3 screws and throw that in the iron alley bin. Because back when steel wasn't even worth anything, at least that got recycled out of it. And you get a little bit of beer money every year out of it. Out of all the junk you collected over the year. So do the lower drum, including the bits that aren't where the tape goes. This is just a quick sort of cleaner. And you should go around this bit. Wrist wiping some of the labels off, but I don't think any of these are important. I think Panasonic were the only ones that bothered to put their, and we can use the screws, put their part numbers on their heads. Sharps, you always just either use the manual or just went by the model number. But it looks like it's got a fingerprint there. Is it? It's something else maybe. There's a couple of little sets of lines there. That's good enough just to remove any acidic fingerprints, I think. Just leaving a bit of a dull finish to it. Maybe we'll just polish that off as well. Not that matters because no customer's going to look inside this since it's my machine anyway. But it's nice just in case that does any damage later on, even though it's hardly a museum piece. And might as well put all this bits back together. And there's no point cleaning until it's had a belt kit and whatever. Get that in place. Where did our... That's where our juice sensor went. Not sure if that should have gone under the other connector or above. I don't think it matters too much. So I always try to put things back where they came from. That does not want to slot over everything. There it goes. There we are. And that went over the power connection. Probably should leave it off until we fix that, but at the same time, I don't want any more bits lying around than I need. And we've got to plug the motor in, you always got to remember, because it's easy to forget the underside. And then you wonder why the machine won't run. Oh no, I just realised the capstan doesn't turn either. And that feels like the belt's actually stuck to it. So I didn't even notice the capstan. Should really check that first, because you don't want to fix the machine to find out the capstan motor's faulty, but very unlikely. Where are we? Should be a couple of clips. And that quap comes loose. I think we may have to loosen. No, maybe not. Not sure if the other board has to come or not. Really can't remember. These are a bit different on the front to a 581 anyway, I think, which was the common machine. Oh, this board tilts the other way anyway. I think it tips up that way because there's the hinges. Again, so long since I've done one, I've forgotten exactly what we're looking at. But I better get this camera back a bit too, I guess. There's a couple of clips on the end here. And it should, oh, I've got the front panels catching again. Lift up, and it doesn't, not the best. Is that all these things did? I can't remember, but let's, I can at least, oh yeah, it's stuck solid. Yeah, I don't much like this board. Looks like we're going to have to pop it. But again, not much call for working on this side of the machine normally, but I can't remember. I don't think I did a lot of belt kits in these. These were still new enough. I don't think they were so bad back when I was still working on them, but there we go. And not sure if this is the same as the 581. Yeah, the front panel's decided to come loose as well. Does that get us anywhere? Not really. I think we're going to have to... What's holding it all here? Maybe we should have left that unplugged after all. Now that might even be enough. But I might unplug this front board. So yeah, a bit of a awkward one to work on. But that'll get that out of the way. But look at this, I can't turn that. It's not even coming off here. It finally broke off the capstan itself. Let's hope that motor's good, because no, she's not the best. Man, this machine is seized up from sitting around. And this is just going to be joined. It does peel off somewhat. Yeah, well and truly at its day. That's going to be a real pain to get off. I don't know if I should pull the capstan. Just being super careful if you're using a knife like this that you can't slip it and cut yourself with it. That's coming off better than I expected. It's not fully stuck on there. So this belt's gone hard, but not, or at least not gooey now. It was possibly a bit gooey at one stage, but at least it hasn't fully broken down. Capstan's nice and free. We know that works. Oh, these, I think they used a similar mode switch in the 400 series. And we should really get this into a position where the markings are, because there's a little hole drilled in one of the teeth and there'll be an arrow or something on this thing, or a little straight bit. But I think in the 400 series, these type of mode switches, the gear on it, there's a plastic shaft where that little center bit is, goes up just like a pin. Gear fits onto it and the gear would crack and actually come loose. And I'm not sure if there must have been a way of working out where it went, because you could actually just melt a piece of wire through the two parts, through the gear where it's, I think it's got a little bit that sticks up, and through the inner shaft just to hold them together so they can't slip against each other. But that was a common problem. I think they might have fixed them by this era machine, but I think the 400 series, 481, etc. was known for doing that. I certainly remember fixing some of those. 400 series also had issues with these gears. It probably just made out of bad plastic or something. But I forget which mode it's in that it actually... I can't see the marking. There's probably a hole in one of the teeth on this thing. But where you get it to actually line up, so you can check the teeth on this against that. But of course, if it's slipped against the shaft, then you don't really know if the mode switch is in the right spot or not. If you saw that it was cracked, you could fix it ahead of time. That might have been it. I get a feeling if they really slipped off, you may have to... Oh, no, actually, I think I know what it is. I think where that little pin is there, a little hole in it, there's a little plastic sort of lever thing coming across a sprung thing with a little piece sticking out of it. And I think if you rotate this around, it'll fit into a little groove there somewhere. There's one little groove for it. And that is where the gear also lines up with a marked hole in the tooth or whatever there. I think that's how you do it. So you get that in the little groove. Then you can hold that piece, slide the main gear part till the hole lines up where it should be, where that line is across here. Right in the middle of that little flat bit across there. And then you melt your bit through, and obviously then set it to the master cam wherever it's got to be, and you should be sweet after that. I think we might take this motor out. I don't think I've ever had to fix the capstan motor in one of these. It probably just needs a good lube, bit of oil down in the bushings and the like. Can we get this board safely? I don't want to reattach it, but if I can get it sort of partly clipped in, I don't want it floating around either where it can get damaged. That is probably enough. The motor's already dropped out. We better see where that's hanging, make sure it doesn't hit the heads or anything. That's it. That's certainly tight. So orange is the positive, because there's a big plus there on the thing. Don't know if there was much point removing it, but just look at it. Yeah, it's got the little crimped over bits. You can remove them and pull it apart, but it'll certainly be easier to work on, I think. Oh man, that is cold. That must be 0 degrees. What I'm going to do is just get the oil and run it in between that pulley and the bushing thing. You can jerk them up and down a bit, which helps. Now that's feeling better already. Usually I think it's just this front bit that goes, but still a bit squealy. So if it's down the back here, we're kind of in trouble. It's a lot better than it was, at least. And the capstan isn't exactly flying along like I'm doing with it. But I would like to, definitely squeaky. Shouldn't do that. And yeah, just even, you're going to have to pull this shaft, or pulley off the end of the shaft. Not always the easiest thing to do. But wow, these machines really are getting in a poor way. Just from non-use, it's not squealing anymore. I think that might be alright. I might even have to leave that, I think, sitting there with some oil. I'll give that a few spins here and there. I guess we better check. I think the pinch roller's alright, but can I get to that without cutting that cable tie off? Let's check it, because given what luck I've been having with these things lately, with a bit of luck it got replaced sometime. It's in pretty good condition, I think. There's a slight crack there maybe. There's my magnifier. Is that just making something when they made it? Oh, the magnifier, that looks really good. Like new, you can almost say, besides a bit of oxide on it. I mean, I'll probably never use these machines anyway. I don't know what I'm going to do with them all. Probably just use them as a display for now and then decide what to do with them. So I think that's alright. What was the other thing I was going to check? I was thinking of something. Oh, one thing I might just do is get the, well, we better check the drum. I think we can run this thing with no capstan motor in it. Soon find out, I guess. It's got a separate real motor still on this one, obviously. Just double check that. Oh, that was running then, what? I think the idle ran on that time. Oh yeah, it does. That wasn't even running before. Is that something to do with the capstan or the drum? Oh, let's hit. Oh, it turned off. Not happy. Oh, it was probably because... But the drum's running. Look at that, beautiful. Can't even hear it. Just running. Yeah, the idlers started working. What the? Mate, yeah, it's not perfect, but that's a bit. I can't actually stop that, Nari. I almost can't stop it. Oh, that's weird. Wonder if we can get this machine going with a flat belt, if I've got one the right size. Well, that shocks me, because I'm just so used to the idlers being shot and sharp machines. Yeah, that doesn't have the most torque. It's not the greatest, but it's not meant to have a lot. But God, I cannot stop that. Not with a single finger anyway. I mean, listen to that, that's not stoppable. So that idler's actually fine. Well, I might not buy a belt kit for it after all. Well, what I was going to do... Oh, we've got to roll that so that it'll eject. But all I was really going to do, which is not very even important, is see if I've got a date on this thing. Also check the condition. These don't have a belt on the loading mechanism, which is great. Probably makes them a little noisier, and that should slide forward. That's a bit reluctant to. It almost looks like a date, but what is that? JAL 85. I think it's July 85, that's what it says. I thought that was a 185, but that's JUL, I think, 185. So, sorry, JUL 85 NA, so it's a January 85 model. It should be an 85. Oh, we do have one more build in here. Got power off, don't even need to unplug that. We've got a counter belt, just the one by the look of it. Well, it's not even a counter belt. Well, it is technically a counter belt but it runs a Hall effect sensor or something, which is a real sensor. That also happens to run the electronic counter in these. So they double up the same sensor to do both. It can tell if the machine isn't operating properly, and it can also supply a counter chip so that we've got a counter. Well, in that case, I might even give this thing a clean, and might as well see if we can find a flat belt cassette type belt, because I do have quite a good collection of those in these sort of sizes that I never use. The 6mm wide ones, I think they are, because I bought a collection off a guy years ago, and he bought every single belt that Wagner had, or 2 of them each belt, I think. And yes, some sizes you use, I've replaced them many times over, and other belts you never use them ever. Partly because some of them are really only VCR belts, I think, and didn't have any 2mm squared ones like the square belts these in VCRs, but all the flat ones are sort of short and very wide. Those sort of ones I don't think audio ever uses, or maybe some obscure old reel-to-reel recorder or something uses them, but nothing I ever saw to fix. So it'd actually be good if I could use one up. I think you can buy those idler tyres separately. You used to be able to. Maybe I'll order one anyway. Looks to me like a 400 series is the same as that. I think they were. So rather than waste money on a belt kit, I can probably get away with some of my belts, and we could replace that counter one anytime. I'm surprised it hasn't gone gooey as well, or in some way gone bad. It seems to be okay. It's feeling like it's a little stretched, but it's not bad. There's a few bit on there that don't want to come off in a hurry. Sometimes you just got to let the metho soak in a bit and it'll come off, but that's not particularly dirty anyway. Pinch roll's alright. But yeah, that at least shows it is an 85 machine. I'm sure there wasn't a marking on here similar. Nothing like it. I might have to put that back in as well. Despite what I was saying, I can always leave the machine sitting upside down with the bottom cover off, even if I just rotate it by the capstan with the board back in place, just to make sure that oil gets right in there, since it's mounted upside down kind of thing. Still a little bit of squealiness sometimes. I'm going to have to clean. There's a big lump of belt on there. I won't do it over the machine. Get that off there and give that pulley a clean. Problem is, if I don't use the machine, these are kind of like old car engines and stuff. I think you need to turn them over occasionally to lube them up. So if you've got any old videos for display purposes, it's probably pay to put a tape in once a year at least and give it a run. Might get rid of some of that excess oil there. Yeah, might get the worst of that oil off, because the problem is, if I put this in upside down like it's mounted in the machine, it's going to run down and get straight on the belt. Now, let's solder that back together. I might just solder them on top, I think, rather than going through the hole in the motor or in the terminal. It probably would ideally be a good time to actually pull the, you could just bend those little crimp bits back out with a pair of side cutters or something and pull the back off and lube the other end as well. Like if I was going to properly restore this machine, that's what I would do. But if it's just going on the shelf anyway, especially if I don't even need to spend the money on a belt kit, it's probably not really worth it. Because this board's in the way again. Let's unplug it a bit. You can actually unplug the board. It looks like it goes to a board underneath the mech. That's probably what needs unplugging to really get it out of the way. Motor just does not want to sit there. You need 3 hands for this job like usual. Is that the hole? Must be. And yeah, swing it back a bit and we should be able to get to the other one. So, yeah, if I lift that up, that drops the board. But at least we should be able to test it all out. I really don't like ordering bits for things if you don't know 100% that it's going to work. You may need a bit of scour or something on here, I reckon, because even though I removed a lot of that belt with a knife, it's still got some pretty rough stuff on there. Don't know if a bit of acetone will work, but I'm going to try it. It might dissolve stuff that isn't already sort of liquid. I don't think I've ever tried it on dried belts. And I don't, maybe it's done a little bit better than the methate. Not great though. There's still quite a lumpy bit there. Probably should really remove it from the machine. But I guess I'm going to undo the screws anyway. Or a screw, it's only one screw holding that. Other end of the bracket slips out. And be careful with the board. I've got to check, does it have something on the top of it? It usually has a washer or something, I think. So you lift it a bit, push it back down, and there it is. Little black washer. And yeah, it's got some sort of sensor there for the feedback on capstan speed, I think. Probably should actually scrape this a bit better now it's out. And there's a few bits still caked on there quite thickly. And that's the worst bit right there. And a couple of little bits before it though. Yeah, that didn't really cut off. That's probably where I pulled a bit off before we got the knife onto the rest. Yeah, it's going to make a little bit of a mess of the coating on the motor, or the capstan. I keep thinking it's the capstan motor in these, but these are probably the last machine without an actual single unit capstan motor. Pretty sure the 600 series just had a little flat motor. Be nice to find one of each of the Sharp series. The 481s, all the front panels broke on those, especially since they're only wider remotes and a lot of those are broken. People just use the front. I think even the 581 version of these things had quite often had broken buttons on the front panel. Again, being wireless remote, and the wireless part would fail and people wouldn't fix it. So the 481s, it was hard to find a good front panel. I don't think I ever really got those second hand because you couldn't ever get a decent panel. You could kind of patch them up, but with the melting wire and stuff in as new hinges, but it just wasn't worth the bother for what was not an overly great machine anyway. Since they had master cam issues and the usual belt kits and that mode switch. Now, there were some slimmer 400 series, 488 I think, or 486, maybe both, which were quite nice machines. One of them might have even been hi-fi, and they did have a good front panel on, but the 481 was just the budget machine. Not sure if it was the 483, 486, something like that. I think I did find an advert recently of a long play for, no, that was a long play 300 series I think, and I can't remember what the model number for it is, because they weren't that common. While we got that out, I might just scour what's left of that tape oxide off there. Oops, I was going to say there was a washer on there. Was what we want to do. Two washers actually. That probably went on the outer side because it's a bit springy. I always have to stick to everything. I might just put a tiny bit of oil on there as well. Since it's been so long since it's been used, I'm just going to do the old cotton bud with a tiny bit on it trick. Yeah, I think we're going to have to slide that in sideways. Well, we've got to lift it anyway to get that up washer on the other side, and so these ones don't fall off. Sounds a little bit noisier than I would have expected, but luckily back when these were still being repaired, you didn't have to do much of this going from one side to the other side stuff, like on this one. So we need to find a belt. Okay, so I found a belt in the eBay belt kit, and it's making it squeal a tiny bit. It's not the right width, but it's tight enough. So if that does the job, I might even just leave that in there. It's not like there aren't better machines. If someone wanted to buy a second-hand machine, these are more just a novelty thing really. Not something that has a viable market, I don't think, except among people that actually collect this sort of stuff, which probably isn't many people. So it's probably not worth getting it back to 100% condition. Even though it's nice to do so. Get that clip back in. That's all clipped in. I think we can screw that all back up. Ideally, I guess I should just leave it, but either way, I'm not going to be fixing this. If I do order a belt kit, I'm not going to be putting it in anytime soon, so I might as well screw everything back in place, rather than find out it takes you 6 months to come back to it and you can't remember what goes where, even though it's pretty obvious with these. Okay, let's see, we better make sure that washer is pushed in because I think that's still raising up a bit. Don't want that getting where it can get onto the tape and damage it or anything. Yeah, that makes a little bit of noise. Let's just check it again with a dummy tape. Ooh, yeah, it's a bit noisy. That caps the motor. Who told you to fast forward? Are we getting an issue? That's interesting. Is there an issue with a sensor lamp or something? Don't think it has any sensors on the other reel. Yeah, it's going into fast forward. Oh, some of these, yeah, that's an automatic feature, I think. it's going into vision search. I think that was a feature on these. If the picture don't come up, it goes into vision search looking for a piece of the tape that actually has something on it. So it was an automatic fast forward over the blank bits in the tape, I think. So many of these little features you forget and start thinking it's got an issue. What is going on here? Oh, the little black bits on the front. Oh, little switch bit was in the wrong spot, stuck to the front panel. Stuff on the front wanting to go back on properly. At this point I prefer to have the front on the machine so I can actually see what I'm doing. Given that it looks like it's probably working somewhat. Don't think it'll eject until you wind that reel. So it's an anti-chewing thing. Just double check it. The reel. So weird that didn't work before, but anyway, maybe that was stuck to the reel or something. Reel motor. A lot of jittering going on. Where's the tracking? Ah, now we've lost our picture. Got a bit of a tracking issue, but is that because oh, that's better. That's a nice picture tone. That shouldn't affect anything. Huh. Weirdly, I'd swear the picture tone control is causing more jitter. And we've got a bit of, I wonder if I did get that drum slightly out, a bit of teletext line type thing at the top, which probably is recorded on this videotape, I guess. That's the ABC. Do they have teletext? It probably had closed captions on there. Yeah, a bit of teletext at the top. That could be because I've not put that drum back together quite right. Since I undid that Allen key before I marked it. But when I adjust the picture tone, look at that, jitters. Very weird. So about all I can do, I guess, is tweak it one way slightly and tweak it the other way. Although I've got to take that motorboard off again, I think, annoyingly. So maybe go clockwise and see if it makes it worse or better. Yeah, that's got to go. Not a big deal. So let's make the brass bit go slightly. I'm going to go about the width of the so many reflections I can't see what. Yeah, that's it. About the width of the marker pen past the original. Oh, of course, it's bloody moved back, hasn't it? Just about past the original line. Where they were matched. So I'm clockwise. I'll tighten it up anyway, like I'm not coming back in here, but chance are it'll be, when you've got a 50-50 chance of going the wrong way, you've got a 100% chance of going the wrong way, really, because of Murphy's Law. Never seem to get any dumb luck, you just get dumb bad luck. But let's see what it does. Might get lucky and beat fate on this one. Beat karma or whatever it is. Oh, this leads are a bit short. Wakey wakey. Oh, I think I beat it. Tracking's still not the greatest. Although I don't know how good this tape is, and I actually wonder if we've gone too far. Well, at least the picture's centered again. But we've got this weird black and white bit here. Let's try another tape just out of interest. Ooh, yeah, well, it's more noticeable on this one. That's the old Triton test tape, Triton demo tape. Yes, it's more like the other one at the other end of the tracking. Does that just mean I've gone a bit too far? I don't remember them being that picky, but maybe that is just a bit too much. I'll tweak it slightly back and we'll see what happens. I actually ended up going the other way because I thought that was too easy, that I picked the right choice the first time, and it's better, but it's still, I think it's flag waving a little bit at the top there. I'm on a different tape now. Let's have a look at the other one. I think that might have actually been one I dubbed off. Someone had that Triton Work Centre tape. I think that is a recording of a recording, maybe a recording of original, I can't remember. But yeah, tape's not the best quality. But that's fixed it, so I just got it like a millimetre or whatever to one side. When I put my mark in, I usually use a thinner marker pen too. Shouldn't really use the thick ones. One of the fine tip ones is best, so you can really align it back to where it was. I think that line there is just tape damage or was on the original or something. Same with all that colour flickering stuff. Because I don't think that was on the other one. Yeah, I thought this commercial tape looked a little flickery at the top. That's why I always try machines on some different tapes. Anything should read a commercial tape. But that's part of the tracking issue, I think, more than anything. Oh, there's the flag wave. If we bring it back a bit, it might be something to do with the tracking. Still doesn't look quite right. But no line there, so that's definitely an issue with the tape, or the original tape that it recorded off. So I think we'll call it quits on that one. That is resurrected enough for my liking. Oh, I better see if we can get the remote going on. Oh, the other, just noticed the other bit of that door is broken, even though it looked like it was still in place, it was cracked. But at least the door's there. That's often they broke and people threw them away. I guess I might as well find out. And I don't think I'll even bother putting a proper power cord on this thing. Find out if these remotes, oh my god, that's in terrible condition. I think this one was corroded as well. It's corroded, but not so much where it matters, I don't think. Strangely, the springs are good, but the metal backing bit's corroded. Usually the springs rust first. I wonder if this has got stainless steel springs or something in it. Nice to see. Problem is though, if they're not connecting to this other bit too well because it's corroded, it's not going to work anyway. And that has got, yeah, crystalline muck in there. Now almost that's fallen out at least. And more crystals going on that one. And they usually act as good insulators, those battery crystals. Yeah, one uses AA, one uses AAA. Be surprised if either of them work anyway. And sure enough, knocked the thing out of that one. They just never work. It's usually why people end up getting rid of the machine, because the remote stopped working and this has stopped working. Oh, that one's flicking occasionally. Am I just not seeing the LED properly? That one's kind of... Well, let's see on the machine, I guess. Oh, no tape in it. And these are only tape functions. Oh, this is an auto play. I noticed another thing, if you put a tape in like this commercial one with no record tab, it automatically goes into play. Could be a bit annoying, but yeah, that's going into fast forward. Or vision search anyway. Rewind. Oh, how do we get it out of rewind? Play button doesn't work. Stop works though. Yeah, play doesn't run. Oh, it did then. It magically performed in delayed action or something. Pause works. Can't do record on that one, so that's sort of working. This one is dead. Let's see if we can. Have we cleaned it well enough is the next question, I guess. Let's get the cotton bud onto it. And now I've got that stinky battery smell about me. Even though I didn't hardly touch the things. Can we... I don't think you can measure the batteries in situ. But you can if you remove the back. Yeah, these ones come apart. Probably the hard way of putting marks all over them. And that's one of the problems over the years. I've forgotten how to get a lot of this sort of stuff apart. If you could remember where the clips were, you could usually do them without putting anything much of a mark on them, but if you can't remember, you tend to do all sorts of marks. Oop. And also there's a risk of breaking the actual clips. Sometimes these are extra clipped at the battery end there. Ooh. I reckon there's a couple in the back. Don't know if I've ever had one of these remotes apart, to be honest. Maybe I've got to do the other bit. I can hear something rattling, so we've probably broken something. Why they had to make them so difficult to get into it. Don't know if they're just worried about, oh god, I think there's battery crystals right through this thing. Oh, it's just, oh gosh, look at it. There's actual crystalline growth in there. Well, that's a new one. Okay, let's check the board as well and I might just give every contact a clean regardless. Certainly won't hurt. Well, I think that cotton bud might have been battery acid coated, so I better just clean them again. Now, which way did this thing go? Like that, obviously. Come on, evaporate. Now, let's see, do we get voltage to this thing? Just to measure on the board here, 3.2. And still nothing, but I did notice that resonator's corroded on one lead. Could that have died? Next thing to check is usually just the voltage on the LED. I think normally a 3 volts goes up to the anode. Yeah. Dude, did I just... I think it might have worked because something just made that... Ooh. Oh yeah, something's... No. Yes, no. Do something. That's weird. It's still connected properly. They're always pretty loose. So what happened, that was when I was measuring stuff. We somehow pressed play. 2.4, so that's what suggests the LED's at least intact. So is it Dicky contacts? What the hell's that come from? Did I clean the board? I don't think I actually did clean the board, so let's give that a clean as well. I don't think that's just a blob of metho by the look of it. Maybe it had a blob of something on one of the buttons. Because if one of the buttons is permanently stuck down, it can be enough to stop all the others running, if not stop the whole thing going. I don't know where that came from. That was clean before, I think. Might have just been some metho, I don't know. There's our resonator there. Always worth a check, especially this one hasn't been glued down. So check it for dry joints. The fact one lead looks a little corroded, could mean there's corrosion in the joint. Might just resolder it. Which pins is it? The back ones. I'll just resolder the LED too, because they sometimes get fractured, but it seems alright. Nothing on the remote tester. Oh, that one's going. Something there was. Is that just like the us channels? Operate. I don't know, now play's working. Pause, that's just a single button. Record. What? Everything's decided to work. Well, it's definitely a 500 series, I think. Yeah, fast forward. Stop it. Rewind it. Play it. Pause it. Stop it. Yep, channels up, down. And turns it off. Oh, let's work it again now. That's actually a nicer remote than that long thin one anyway, I think. More crystal. Oh, that's right, there's a bit up in the front here, isn't there? Let's clean that out. Yeah, it's in around the display, or the filter for the LED. Oh, get that in. I see, the back ones are meant to slide in. Yeah, so you push the back on, slide it forward a bit. I hope I got that lens in the right way. And one of them decides to come out when I clip it. You son of a... Shouldn't have got distracted by that silly lens. So put them on, slide them forward, hold it really hard by the look of it. There we go. Oh, better turn it on first. Channels. Play. Yeah, I think that was a goer again. Oh no, the idler's decided to stop working again. That's unreal. Wow, that is random. Definitely needs a belt kit, I think. I might just order an idler for it. Wouldn't hurt to have a couple of those in stock anyway if they're still available. Ah, you rotten thing, now I won't let the tape out. No, those, it does spit it out. Maybe that tape's tighter than the other ones or something. Oh, just goes, overrides everything and goes into play, of course. The one thing you don't want it to do, and we're chewing. Well, that is one weird intermittent idler. I've never seen that before. Could it be the motor? Oh, now it's going to chew the fucking tape. You fucking piece of shit. Ah, look at that, give it a whack. Sometimes that works. Well, there you have it. Not sure how I know it does that, but that's what you get when you're working on a lot of these things over the years. Yeah, well, that's interesting. So something, either the idler's not slipping, the real motor's not running. It sounds like it's running because you can hear the motor running. It's not sounding loaded down or anything. So that idler is just, yeah, maybe it just randomly decided to work. But that remote's a go. This one wasn't quite perfect. Let's just have a quick look inside it. What is that with that screw? Someone's been in here before and absolutely butchered the screw on it, which is rather weird. Or is it just rusting the edge off? I don't know. So it looks like the head's been damaged. Oh, well, that one comes apart nice and easy. There's a screw on the board. Yeah, that earth wire's all corroded both ends. Oh, why don't you come out? Yeah, see, you're not looking the best under there. Let's clean all the contacts. I might resolder that negative connection, although that might be more trouble than it's worth. Oh no, there's no buttons up here, that's what I was going to check. So this one, so did they have a fancy remote and a not so fancy remote, or were they for different models? Unfortunately, all this stuff we'll probably never know again because it's all been forgotten. And of course, a lot of us that repaired these things didn't know this stuff because we didn't buy these things. Only the consumers really knew what they got in the package. It might be in the service manual though. I guess that's the point. I could maybe look up the service manual because there should be a remote control on the parts list. And I would think if there was an option, often Sharp I think had the instruction book in the front of their manuals too, which was a great idea. Possibly just for the technician that wasn't familiar with it, but if you were uncertain about something, handy to have the book in there, and also handy if the customer ever wanted a copy. That solder's just like crystalline and breaking up. Very weird, it's coming off in chunks. Well, that's a new way to desolder something. I bet I'm not going to go anywhere near the fumes coming off this because it's probably going to be acidic, like smelling ammonia or something. I can vaguely smell something horrible because that's just going to be horrible acidy crystals. So stay away from that sort of stuff when you're heating it up. Cool, so it went over to the IC there and got on the pin on that. So I let my guard down and smelt some of it. And this is the other thing, these plated through holes get corroded. But all you can really do is try and get some new solder on there. It feels like there's a component lead or something under there. That you can hear it hissing and carrying on. That's going to be some toxic fumes for it. Oh my god, it's gone all black. What the? Man, that is some nasty chemical mess in there. That's on the metal that's gone all green. Oh my god, the green's turning black with heat. I don't even want to think what the hell's coming off there. Let's just patch it up as best we can and let's clean the soldering iron tip off nicely, because that's where a bit of water on a sponge is better than those other things, I think. Get rid of those chemical residues. Well, I guess we're going to make sure it's still connected. Let's put the batteries in and just check we've got full voltage. That's the best way to check it. Minus 3.1 because we're the wrong way around. Let's just check this track. Does it actually go right through there? I think it does to that point. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, a bit disappointing we've got no channel up, down or power on. So what a basic remote. I was just thinking we're living the good life if we're in 1985 with a remote like that other one. Actual on-off functions and everything. But this remote here is the Povo infrared one. Is that going to go back in? Oh, it must do. It came out. That's a bit random. The board... Oh, I see. That slides out of there. That should have gone in with the board, I think. Well, how the hell did it come off? The magic of physics. You can get it off, but you can't get it back in again. So we can only test it. Now something else isn't sitting in right. Jeez, you got to watch these things. Oh, he broke the board probably. It's not putting out. Oh, the play. That's right. The play wasn't. Oh, I might put my finger on something. That's certainly brighter than it was before, at least. That one. Oh. You're gonna watch what you're pressing your fingers on, because sometimes that will cause the signal to stop. Yeah, they're all going, I think, and yeah, nice bright signal now, like it should look. Before it was kind of there, but very dim. Probably a high resistance battery connection. Probably one of those joints were just soldered. Let's put it back together and actually test it now. Yeah, it's better. Record, stop. Pretty horrible feeling buttons to play and stop one. There plays a little diggy. And unfortunately we're missing that bit off it. I'm not even going to bother trying it on the machine. Oh well, that was a bonus because I didn't realise that was in the machine when I bought it. But I'm pretty sure this one was for sale at the same time, so I grabbed this, thinking they just put the remote for the machine for sale separately to try and make a few more dollars. That could do with a good retro bright. That's an RRMCG 0084 GESA, and that one doesn't have a partner. Okay, well the price tag's still on the end and it cost me $11 and I probably paid $5 for that remote, so that wasn't a bad deal. But I'll see if I can get an idler tyre for it. If not, I'll probably have to get a belt kit for it. It's in very nice condition, really. Bit of dust on there, I just noticed, but that's probably just from sitting here. A few fine marks on it, but that is a little mark there. Yeah, just your finger scratches and stuff. But that's as good as you ever find one of these. I think the 500 had the buttons. Maybe they're up here somewhere, coloured ones. And I'm pretty sure they used to break, whereas this front panel I think was one of the good quality ones. So this was obviously the more upmarket version. Infrared remote control, noiseless steel, and 14-day 2-program time. I think most of them, well, a lot of them probably did only have one program. Some machines had multiple, even on the earlier stuff. What have we got? Timer. No, I've actually got timer on, we don't want that. TV video, tuner auxiliary input. And yeah, just your picture tone and stuff controls and setting the clock and program. Yeah. Hinges busted on the cover, which is absolutely common for this sort of thing. And the back we've just got our normal VHF RF modulator with test signal, channel 3 or 4. AV in out, camera auto, colour auto. camera pause. And I'll just put that little grommet back in there for now. I'll see if I can get an idler for it. If not, I might have to think about a belt kit and just order one in case I ever want to use this thing. I'm not sure if I'll bother putting it in. It's really just a simple case of remove the cassette housing, a couple of screws, real motor falls out the bottom, and that idler assembly, like the earlier shafts, you just slide it to one side, out it pops. I think there's a spring on there or whatever you got to take off first, and then you just cut the tyre or prise it out of there, put a new one in, and away you go. And I almost did the other 50% of the belt kit in one of these anyway, just changing that capstan belt. And of course there's the real belt, which is very easy to just pop off there. Anyone can do it. So that's as far as I'll go with this one for now, so thanks for watching.